Hello, I'm Tim Rogers, professional video game expert. You are watching Kotaku.com. It's Shadow of the Tomb Raider, not to be confused with Tomb Raiders of the Lost Ark, or Tomb Raid Redemption, or Shadow of the Colossus. Wow, that's enough of that joke. Lara's back is broken again and again in a brand new, piping hot video gauntlet of natural horrors and labyrinthine wicker-baskety obstacle contraptions, crafted by ancient civilizations bent on dirty murder thousands of years into their own futures. I played this game for about 6 hours, exactly up to the point that Square Enix specified I was allowed to show you in this video. Seeing as this is a game with plenty of grappling and climbing, let's hang out with me as I sit here reminiscing into a microphone upon the experience of having had played this game for the purpose of making this video. I've got to admit, I like the name of the game Shadow of the Tomb Raider. In keeping with the tradition of modern young adult books, they don't title the game with a number. If you put the 3 recent Tomb Raider games in alphabetical order, they would go Rise of the Tomb Raider, Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Tomb Raider. That's 2, 3, 1. That's weird. However, when you think about it, it logically makes sense. For how can a Tomb Raider cast a shadow when it is lying on the ground? It must first rise. Shadow of the Tomb Raider gives you a lot of options for spoken languages and subtitles. You can choose immersive subtitles, which means you only see subtitles for quest dialogues, or you can choose to have subtitles on everything, even ambient dialogues. I've chosen to play the game with all the native languages being spoken appropriately, and all the subtitles showing all the time. You can change the difficulty settings for exploration, puzzles, and combat separately. For my playthrough, I left exploration on the normal difficulty, which leaves a quote-unquote discrete white paint on the path you're supposed to take. If you put it on hard, there's no white paint at all, and if you put it on easy, the paint is very bright. Right before the opening title sequence, this game in which a white British woman goes into the jungles of South America to rescue villagers from a bunch of pillaging criminals informs you that it was made by a diverse staff. Nice! The loading icon is literally my initials. I sure am gonna feel weird a lot as I play this game. Like all bestseller novels you would find in an airport bookstore, Shadow of the Tomb Raider opens with a short, bombastic, loud sequence, followed by a title card whisking us back 2 days earlier. Right off the bat, you can tell this game is definitely 60 FPS. It just wouldn't be a piece of entertainment that reminds one of Raiders of the Lost Ark if one character didn't talk about how the bad guys were digging in the wrong place.
Trinity has been looking in the wrong place.
Exactly.
Well, he says looking in the wrong place, you know what I mean. Here a child talks about lighting a candle for his dead father. The writers of Shadow of the Tomb Raider seize this opportunity to remind returning players and inform newcomers that Lara's mom is dead.
Maybe I could light one for my mother.
During an early dialogue in this Day of the Dead village sequence, Lara explains to her friend and partner Jonah that she doesn't like crowds. We can nigh upon palpate this distaste in the animations employed by Lara as she pushes herself away from rowdy partying villagers. Here we learn the wall scramble technique, jump against the wall and then jump again. This is the kind of thing where if I were a game designer on this game, I would push really hard for it to be called the wall scamper. Come with me if you want to live. Lara is such a seasoned and experienced Tomb Raider that she wastes no time or ceremony opening this box.
The carvings on this Maya monolith are far too deteriorated to read.
Yeah, that's what I say every time I can't read a foreign language. I'm not sure that this tutorial tip is worded in maybe the most efficient way. Why did it have to be eels? Within the first 20 minutes of Shadow of the Tomb Raider, Lara arrives at and then proceeds to raid a tomb. To solve the puzzle here, Lara must do everything that she can, as much as possible. Lara gains access to the inner sanctum of the ancient temple. She proceeds to solve a video game puzzle during a video game cutscene. Lara stands enthralled by the texture of this mud. It's about time somebody releases a video game where I don't know how big the puddles were while it was in development. Lara commits murder. That's a bingo. Lara dies. Don't worry, video game likers. You can shoot red barrels, and they do blow up. I gotta say, I love the way the game presents you forcing a door open. Every time you jam the button, the screen pulses and zooms forward with a semi-random intensity and rotation. It's visceral. The villain reveals his plot. He says,
"You can remake the world without weakness, cruelty."
All right, man. Now, I didn't see the new Tomb Raider movie, though. This definitely is not Alicia Vikander's face. I'm 39 years old, in case you didn't know that from me mentioning it in every other video that I do.
Not everything is about you!
When I was a kid, games like Dragon's Lair blew our minds because you can't tell the difference between cartoon and video game. Later, there were games with CG cutscenes. I'd say back in like 2013, every video game definitely looked way better than every cutscene in video games in the early 2000s. Though games in 2018 are going wild, man. Like, look at this. This is amazing. You're just using the analog stick to control your player, just like you're playing a video game. Look at that water. It's making me thirsty. I love it. Here's a nice little user experience thing I noticed. Much like a human person outside of a video game, Lara will die if she swims underwater for too long. So the game provides you these little air pockets. You press the X button to automatically snap and swim straight up to them. I want you to watch how when Lara goes up into this one and the camera cuts in to show her face as she breathes, when Lara goes back underwater, the camera will have slightly angled itself down to show the player exactly where the exit to the room is. That's friendly. As Lara swims and as she runs out of air, the screen pulses, perhaps a simulation of the effects of water pressure on the human skull, or permanent brain damage as the blood is slowly deprived of oxygen. I will not lie to you, at least about this. I spent so much time swimming around and bumping into these dead bodies underwater because I found the physics comical that my in-game avatar inevitably joined them in their silence. Then I died because I thought this was a cutscene. Then I died again, and God, the deaths are actually really scary. The introduction chapter of the game climaxes in this sequence that I can best describe as possessing the kinetic joy of Super Mario 64's level design, plus the ethically complex drowning deaths of thousands of poor South American villagers. Here we see a textbook case of an achievement spoiling the mood. I didn't know the level was over. Video games like this are all about just throwing you one more thing. It's like, I see this achievement pop and I'm just like, oh, I guess I can kind of chill now. And then I died again anyway. These spikes sure love getting under Lara, as though Lara accidentally causing a massive flood that kills thousands of people wasn't bad enough. Shadow of the Tomb Raider goes out of its way to make sure you're paying attention by showing you a cinematic child death.
Laura?
Did he say Laura? Or Lara? Or Lara? Or Lara? I'm gonna need to clip out every single instance of another person saying her name.
Laura? Laura?
Lara.
Laura.
Lara.
Laura. Laura. Laura.
Lara Croft.
At around this point, a guy like me is wondering what you're supposed to do in this game.
We have to get to the hidden city before Trinity. We have to find the silver box.
Okay?
Now we fly to Peru. Look at Jonah's face. He really doesn't want to go here. Oops, the plane crashes. Lara Croft is more than just a Tomb Raider. She's also an expert jungler. She knows her way around a fern. Raiding tombs isn't enough. Witness the cold, unflinching, unfeeling, mechanical action by which she burglarizes a feather from an innocent bird's nest. Then immediately she jumps so hard that she screams while doing so. Check out the gritty realism on this pull-up. If you're a vegetarian, look out. Shadow of the Tomb Raider is gonna make you hungry. Don't worry, there's plenty for carnivores as well. I absolutely love this mud. Finally, I have fulfilled my fantasy of watching or hearing a horse or a pony prance in brownie batter. A campfire? It's just like Dark Souls. Shadow of the Tomb Raider runs in 4K at 60 frames per second on the Xbox One X, so the developers definitely put a skill tree in there. One of the skills lets Lara locate the heart of a large animal. Wow. Is Lara my cardiologist? Notice that 2 things on the campfire menu are listed as unavailable. I'm guessing we're going to be unlocking one of those pretty soon. Lara spies a piece of the crashed airplane, presupposing that anything in this video game's whole experience is not going to involve a jump scare and a second part. Lara bends and yanks a fragmenting shard of the failed airplane's propeller, fancying to fashion it into a makeshift knife. Of course, this idea sucks and the plane falls into the water, so Lara goes in after it. Eels again? Ooh, a capybara. Lara will shoot and eat it when she recovers her automatic rifle. They're the largest rodents in South America. More like Lara Croft. Oh, she's a resources legend, by the way. The menu calls this a makeshift knife, though like it totally owns way more than a proper knife possibly could. Here, the narrative designers conspire to put into Lara's mouth the words they wish the player not yet to speak.
Why didn't I pack all my equipment together?
Lara, you didn't pack all of your equipment together because then dozens of game designers would have lost their jobs. Lara's definitely not afraid to get her hands dirty. Or the rest of her. I really like this rope dismount animation. One of my favorite things to do is to just make a game look dumb, and in any AAA game, it's really not that hard. It's a jaguar, just like in the film Apocalypto. Shout me out in the comments if you love the film Apocalypto or the Atari Jaguar. I shot this jaguar in the face. Lara raids a berry bush. Ooh, is that discreet white paint marking my objective? If you ask me, the writers really missed a cowabunga opportunity here. Lara retrieves her realistic climbing equipment. Thanks, game designers. Look at Jonah's hand clipping through her arm here. It's a little bit weird. Lara and Jonah approach an ancient murder contraption. Little does Lara know the obtuse solution to this primitive puzzle will occupy the next 12 minutes and 45 seconds of her life. You know, every time I'm playing one of these games with exploring and climbing into jungles, I wonder if machines like this actually existed, or if level designers just made them up. And then I never Google it, because I only think about this stuff when I'm playing a video game. Pressing the R3 button activates Lara's survival instincts, which usually results in her giving a hint. She speaks the hints out loud, even when there's enemies nearby, and you can see her mouth move.
Need to get the water flowing to the bucket. Need to get the water flowing to the bucket. Need to get the water flowing to the bucket.
That's weird, and
I love it.
my survival instincts paint this idiotic bird yellow. That means it's a resource I can harvest, and my harvest is kill. Lara has absolutely no idea what she's supposed to do, because the solution is actually beneath the puzzle. After solving the puzzle with brilliant use of her rope arrows, Lara Croft's friend Jonah sprints and executes an immediate flying leap in lieu of thanks. Perception berries. Is this game telling me to take drugs? Every time Lara sits at one of these new campfires, you hear her innermost thoughts.
The jaguars. I don't want him to worry. We have to stay sharp if we're going to get ahead of Trinity.
That's a lot of voice acting. Lara stares at her bow, wondering, why are all these boxes red? What happens when they're not? You can elbow a jaguar. I shot a jaguar in the face. And the face. And the face.
Had a dream about my mother recently.
Did you shoot her in the face, bro? Hey Lara, bro, can you hold this up for me and scream while doing so?
Yeah! Yeah! Yeah!
I still love forcing these doors open. Wait, hold up a second. How did the guys in this truck not see them? Like, look.
You're the logistics guy, aren't you?
I'm not the one who drove onto a rotting bridge.
I know what you're thinking. It ain't no AAA game if it ain't got no ledge kills. Well, it's got ledge kills. Lara's like, I think I'm gonna need one more of these. Lara scrounges for crafting materials to craft a fire arrow to shoot at the white bandages wrapping the dry wood, burning down the barricade. In real life, maybe there would be another solution. Lara and Jonah reach a town where they immediately make a friend. Here the game does a neat little job of being semi-educational to the player. When Lara and Jonah announce to their new friend Abby that they're looking for Mayan ruins, Abby offhandedly says,
Mayan. You know you're in Peru, right?
maybe the player doesn't know that Peru doesn't have Mayan ruins. Well, now, thanks to Abby's tone, they do. Lara Croft can talk to the locals. They speak their native language, and she speaks English, and they respond in their native language.
Bien, si necesita algo, el mercado está en el centro del pueblo. ¿Podría abastecerse antes de continuar?
Thank you.
Fue un placer.
Look at Lara's face. She's so concerned.
Everything all right?
No, todo está mal como siempre.
Maybe I can help.
If we linger near the table where Jonah and Abby are sitting, we can hear them having a little friendly conversation.
Where are you from?
Hawaii, New Zealand,
Which one feels like home?
both of them, neither.
I think she's into you, bro. Despite Abby's generous offer of a spare bedroom, Lara sees fit to engage the local campfire for all her relaxation needs, she says.
What if the earthquake hits here? Hundreds of people will die. I need to find a way to stop it.
Maybe it's in the skill menu. Look at these cute little children kicking a soccer ball back and forth. It's not really a soccer ball, it's like a dodgeball. Maybe they made it out of like horsehide. Anyway, you can't kick it. Lara just gets up in it and it doesn't do anything. Wow, okay, so this conversation with the local is really fast.
Nunca lo había visto por aquí.
I just got in, but I won't be staying long.
Que la apariencia no te engañe. Es un buen lugar. Difícil, pero bueno.
Your garden seems to have survived the storm.
Suerte y trabajo duro.
It's like Han Solo talking to Chewbacca. This child is the first NPC to hug Lara so far in the game. I'll be sure to keep track while I play. I gotta say, this tunnel here looks like it would look brilliant in HDR. However, in order to capture footage of this game for this video, I have to plug the Xbox One X into a capture card and therefore play the game in 1080p non-HDR. Oh well, I'm sure it looks great. Here Lara witnesses two violent pillagers gun murder an innocent man execution style. They then deride the dead man's views on workers' rights and unionization before calling him a snowflake.
Shit.
What the hell got into it? He used to bring us 10 people a week.
Yes, me, brother. Always unionization this and justice that. Wow.
Fucking snowflake.
Lara does some killing. To charge an arrow shot and make it faster and stronger, you hold the right trigger down. However, Lara can only pull the string back so far before her arm gets tired, meaning that at the peak of the charge, the arrow will let go and fly for itself. I like this kind of design. Immediately after committing the 6th murder in the last 2 minutes, Lara says,
All right. Need to get back to the village.
I just gotta say, that strikes me as textbook psychopathic. I was really hoping I could knock that guy's hat off. Just as she's about to leave, Lara remembers to get a voluntourism shot for her Instagram. There's an ancient temple in town, so of course that's the next objective. Our friend Abby told us not to break anything, so Lara goes ahead and rips this thing up with a crowbar. She claims that she's not destroying anything, she's revealing the original. That's all well and good, though it's a bit much when she yells, "Now this is tomb raiding." Fun fact, maca leaf extract is essential for prostate health. 8 minutes and 18 seconds later, Lara had sent 4 more human souls to consult the Grand Architect below. Many evil men lurk about. Lara disguises herself as a single fern. You can pick things up and throw them as a distraction. Enemies have a lot of banter dialogue, which generates a cornucopia of tragically hilarious last words.
Something's not right.
Again, I love opening these doors. Notice Lara can kick this discarded hard hat around on the ground, yet she couldn't kick the soccer ball. The man who wore this hard hat has probably been murdered by his oppressors. The developers of this game allow Lara a little grim fun with a dead man's possessions, yet prohibit her from entertaining children. Lara arrives at a puzzle. The puzzle difficulty is set on normal, so Lara gives a hint like this.
The numbers on the pillars look like the first half of dates. Ishal on the left, Shakshal on the right.
This floor down here definitely does not look like a floor that I'm definitely not supposed to step on, so I just jump right down onto it and... That's sick. I never understood, like, when these ancient civilizations are building these tombs with, like, treasure in them, is, like, the guy in charge being like, yeah, just kind of, like, write the solution to the puzzle on the wall. Eventually, my reluctance to conquer the puzzle and thus raid the tomb exasperates Lara.
The photo from Cozumel. Maybe there's a clue.
I still don't know what that means. I must have missed the Mayan theology lecture while I was busy getting that stealth kill combo achievement. So I open up the menu and Lara talks for about 30 seconds.
In the Maya long count calendar, all dates have 5 numbers. This numeral was damaged to look like a 13.
You can rotate these photos using just the right analog stick, which is, it really gives me a stress nightmare. I mean, it's really hard. It's like impossible to muscle memorize this. Like, UI elements like this in games just always freak me out, man. I don't really remember Lara taking all these photos. A lot of times when AAA video games present you with a puzzle, the solution is to walk over to the thing with the crank and crank it as much as you can. Shockingly, that doesn't work here, so Lara immediately screams the clue at me again.
The photo from Cozumel. Maybe there's a clue.
14 minutes pass. I changed the puzzle difficulty to easy.
The last number on the left pillar is 0.
Wow, she just comes right out and says it. Let's ask Jonah about the other one.
A line across with 2 dots on top of it. 7, I think.
Nice. You see, a line across with 2 dots on top of it. A 7, I think. That's how I think these characters would talk to each other. On normal difficulty, they're talking like video game NPCs. So easy kind of makes them just sound like they're actually talking to each other. Anyway, puzzle solved. Wow, that's dark. Here, Lara makes another classic linguist excuse.
Can't quite make the dialect out.
Okay, I laughed really hard at this because Lara says, she walks into the room and she says, interesting. And then she walks up and just like jackhammers this thing.
Interesting.
I gotta say, I love when games let me dive. The tutorial UI slides in, teasing piranhas, and I gotta admit, I L'd at the idea of underwater concealment. More like Metal Gear Liquid. Swimming in Shadow of the Tomb Raider is always very stressful. It especially stresses me out to spectate her swimming while she's wearing boots. I've had to swim in 2 rivers of my life while wearing shoes, and it was not a good experience.
Not everything is about you!
I've just now connected that when you enable survival instincts, yellow is both the color of killable idiots and collectible resources. Human life is just another resource to Lara Croft. Just like Dark Souls. Here, Lara tries to run off a ledge, and her entire central nervous system keeps saying no. Lara encounters a red barrel in the jungle, and thus her game-liker instincts are shocked to life. Wow, the in-game mission is literally called Crude Awakenings. Come for the cultural sensitivity and stay for the dad joke achievement names. Lara enters a tomb. Once again, Jonah is excluded from entry by some conveniently placed ancient wood. Abby says we can't break anything in this tomb, though, like, if it's a trap that tries to kill you, isn't it, like, sort of okay to break it? Lara eyes what is a dive hole, oblivious to its status as a dive hole, and this is one way to get down there. I gotta say, this really takes guts to dive into some water and then swim straight down and head straight for, like, a crack, not knowing if there's gonna be anything on the other side. I mean, I've been underwater before, and I just feel like if I saw a hole, I wouldn't like squeeze my body into it thinking there's probably something good on the other side. Lara's like out of control. These eels don't stop. Lara accesses a temple and then she says,
I've come out in some sort of cavern. There are signs that people have been here.
She calls this temple that was obviously built by an ancient civilization, quote unquote, signs that people have been here. That's a little bit too clinical. I really love the rope controls. You can hang and swing and hang and swing. It's fantastic. And so we arrive at the next ancient machine, which Lara knows off the top of her head is called the Trial of the Eagle. Lara ponders how the ancient Mayans were able to make these 3D objects disappear and reappear when she moves the camera. Oops. This puzzle requires Lara to use rope arrows to tether these windmill things to these post-like things, and when she does it, she immediately says,
This looks promising.
I mean, it doesn't really look like anything to me, that maybe she's got a better perspective on it. Oh, God. A slowly rotating cylinder touches and kills Lara with all the power of a Zamboni. It turns out you have only exactly enough time to get from this ledge to this hole. I really don't understand what's up with this rope logic. It's like just do whatever you can, whenever you can. I mean, I guess this one post is supposed to be like steady, and the other one is like rotating to pull. I'm not really sure. Oh, I can use my rope arrow to grab and pull this thing to open this door. All right, man. I've run out of regular arrows, and I only have fire arrows left, so aiming at this looks kind of weird. Notice how I can't rotate the camera farther than Lara's neck bones can rotate. This is a neat little personal anatomical touch. However, when I remember that the camera is actually outside Lara's body and not showing me the world through her eyes, I think it's just a tiny bit silly. I died because my legs touched a thing. I'm just gonna say that looked right to me. That looked like I should have survived that. Notice the camera jumped back a little bit at the end there, kind of to dramatize it. I don't buy it, man. In consideration of the odd behavior of the physics in this location, Lara cooperates with the arrangement of the climbing obstacles. Always remember, if it's a AAA game, the last obstacle in an environment will always break when you try to climb it. Notice the wagon wheel things have moved. They're not in the same location as they were the first time I died. Like, seriously, where is the geometry here? Like, why didn't she grab it? What is this rope doing? Lara tries the same thing a second time. It works. Here I'm just kind of hanging on this thing and I'm like wondering how I'm supposed to grapple down into it, and the water looks like it's like much further down than it actually is, and maybe I'm just being an idiot and then I just drop into it. It's kind of funny. To play a AAA game that has climbing in it, one must learn to think like a level designer. So we look at this tower. Doesn't it look perfectly climbable? Why can't Lara climb it? What is it about this tower that makes it unsuitable for climbing? I just want to grab those big jungle Jimmy cross beams. What is Lara's hair doing? Anoli's needle. Vestige outfits require fewer resources to restore to glory. Here's where I always wonder with these AAA video games. Is glory a stat, or is it just a noun? Looks like Sony didn't need to send me Spider-Man after all. What? There's gonna be a rope ascender? First of all, wow, spoilers. Secondly, can you imagine if Super Metroid had just had like big words in the background of a room as you walk through it that's like, you're gonna need super missiles to get through the door at the end of this hall? Would have saved me a lot of time in high school. Then I could have played sports. Here we witness the razor-sharp animal instincts of the llama as it flees immediately upon telepathically sensing that a human somewhere nearby has touched a machine gun. Lara finds a person. She offers to help and...
Get back! You don't belong here!
So, given that I've got immersive language on, here I would really expect her to ask, why do you speak English? This kid is like, you killed him. And she's like, it's okay. He was on PCP.
I'm a researcher. Lara Croft.
Okay, there it legit sounded like she said Lara Croft. We've reached the ancient city.
Pretty nice place.
Lara says,
This is incredible.
Though what she's really thinking is, can I wall scramble off all that white paint?
It was given to me by Unuratu.
Like seriously, is there no language Lara Croft can't speak? Let's go shopping! Am I legit one gold piece short of being able to afford this bow upgrade? A little kid gives me a quest. And, that's actually as far as Square Enix said I was allowed to capture, so. I had a good time. I was born stupid. However, I will not die hungry. Video games forever. Kotaku.com.